Hey, Clark with Spare Defense. Today we're going to go over some methods to conduct administrative and emergency reloads with your pistol. I want you to have a bunch of options. There's not just one way of doing things. That's an institutional training concept, usually for the ease of the instructor. At the police academy level, we had 30 people that we were training at one time. So that program was written on the ability for an instructor to look down the line and see 60 sets of toes. That is not going to be necessarily the best way for you in your circumstance. Your hands are a different size. Your grip strength may not be where it needs to be. You may have an injury. You may be disabled in some way. Whatever your circumstances are, you need to make sure that you use a technique that is guaranteed to work for you in that particular set of circumstances in the environment you find yourself in. So we're going to go through and give you some options. One of the first things that I always look at is, what is your equipment setup? When we start going back to the over-the-top technique, yeah, it's probably going to work on most everything out there, built around guns with iron sights. So when I don't have an optic sitting on the top of this thing, it's really easy for me to get the meat of my palm and all 4 fingers on this thing and push and aggressively move the slide. Now, as soon as I go to a larger size optic on top of this thing, that may not work as well. The Acro is one of the larger dots out on the market, and when I grab across the top of this thing, you can see that my grip is a little bit compromised as it comes to over the top. Again, in a Georgia institutional setting where they don't allow you to go through the police academy with a dot, not a big deal. In real life, where these things are becoming more popular, probably a bigger deal. So if I cannot get enough purchase on this, or if this technique brings me into contact with the controls, or I'm moving my dot around, maybe I want to go to the slingshot. It's not going to give me as much contact as it would if I was going over the top on a smooth gun without an optic on it, but maybe a little bit more for this set of circumstances. Now, one of the interesting things about this is the distance that your hand's going to travel when you're running the slide. So if I am coming over the top and running the slide aggressively, my support hand ends up by my shoulder most times if I'm really running this aggressive. So to rebuild my grip, I have to bring my hand all the way there. So now if I'm doing the slingshot, my hand is not traveling as far to the rear, so it takes me less time to rebuild my grip. That may be a consideration. Both of those will work whether or not the slide's held to the rear in that emergency reload configuration or slides forward. So across the top, slingshot. Now, what about when I have a firearm and I'm conducting my reloads? Most of the time in the institutional setting, when we're doing the admin load, we want the weapon up. I want to be able to see the environment. I don't want to be down here messing with the gun because I lose information. That's still true. I teach reloads up so I can see what's going on. I can put direct attention on the firearm if I need to, but I still want to have my peripheral vision taking in stuff, information. So if the slide's to the rear and I need to load, I do have additional options. I can push the magazine up and send the slide forward with my shooting thumb by pressing down on the slide stop lever. Nothing wrong with it. You'll notice that on this one, the frame of the gun makes it a little hard for me to get my thumb on the slide stop lever without breaking the master grip and kind of shuffling the pistol a little bit so I don't have a good line. Now I have to rebuild my grip a little bit. So my preferred method of teaching a reload when both hands are available is to seat the magazine and then hit the slide stop lever with the support hand thumb as it rolls back onto the target. That gives me very little time spent rebuilding my grip, also ensuring that I can't get over eager and send the slide forward as I'm inserting the magazine. That's one of the hazards of that dominant thumb right hand reload here, is that as I'm pushing this in, I can get the timing wrong and actually send the slide forward before the magazine is fully in there. So my preferred method, again, push up, thumb, roll, catch the sights, start pressing the trigger. So final thing that we can work through is, what do I have to do when I don't have both hands available? Whether I've been injured or I'm holding on to a kid, whether I'm part of a team and work in that environment, I may not always have both hands available to reload. So in injured shooter drills or just occupied hand drills, if the slide is locked to the rear, or if this is forward, I can still conduct a reload. If I've got a holster, I can dump this thing back into the bucket or the holster as long as that will support it. Drop the magazine out, hit that there, and then once that's secure, I can take the magazine and jam it in there. Or if I don't have a holster available for this gun, which is the case right now, I can simply invert it, clamp the gun between my thighs here with the ejection port pointing up, seat the magazine by pushing down, pull up to make sure it's in there, roll it back over. So now I've got the magazine back in there. I could hit it with the thumb, but I can also, if I have something in the environment like the holster or a table or a sharp corner, run the gun off that. And that should release the slide stop lever and allow the gun to go back into battery. This is one of the things that can be used to clear malfunctions as well later on. But you can do that with the optic. If your gun does not support the optic or you have a sharp ridge on the irons, you can use that. So put the leading edge of the irons there, push down and through, and it'll send it forward. You can also do that on parts of your clothing, and that should facilitate that loading or that malfunction clearance. We'll go over that in a later video. But these are 5 options. I'd practice them dry, see which one appeals to you, or multiple ones that appeal to you. But know what's out there instead of just one way, because when that way doesn't work because of your circumstances, you need to be able to go to something else.